Hello and welcome again. In our earlier lessons, we learned about BI tools. That is, we covered Python, we covered Tableau, and Power BI. We noticed that in most cases, the data is imported from either files or, in some cases, databases and web applications. It is important to know that the BI tools can be connected to other services, such as other programs, other BI services, and even databases and APIs. The connection is normally done to import data, in some cases, the live data from databases and APIs. The connection to the external data sources is important and should be maintained at all times. We'll start by learning how to connect Power BI to external data sources. And remember what we learned. We learned that Power BI can be connected to several services, that is several data sources. We have the files. In this case, we have the flat files. We have Excel workbooks. We can connect these to an Excel workbook by clicking on that. Then we can, let's say we want to connect to specific entries. And let's see if we have a good data source. Let's work with the previous one. And there we go. We have the Superstore data set. But in this case, we are working with an Excel file. It will take a while to load because this is a large data set. And on loading the data set, will be redirected to data file page where we'll select the worksheet that we are interested in. For example, in this case, let's work with the orders table. And on clicking on this, next we will choose to transform this because we said earlier that transformation of this data is important just to make sure that the entries are as they are supposed to be. And on clicking on transform, will be redirected to this, and the data will be loaded into the Power Query editor where we can make a few changes. Here is our data. We have the orders table, the first row, that is the first column. The first column is the row ID. I believe we can drop this. We should select this and then say we want to remove this. Click on that and our column is gone. Then we notice that the columns have different data types. We should make sure that the data type are as they are supposed to be. In this case, we have a string data type for the first, that is the order ID. We have order date, which is the date time data set. Data type, that is, we also have the shipment date, and which is also a date. And we have the customer ID, customer name, segment, country. All these are string data type. And the city is also a string data type. We have the state, we have the postal code, we have the regions, we have the product ID, we have the category, we have the subcategories, and the product name. Then we have the cell. This can be converted into, let's convert this into fixed decimal, that is currency. There we go. And then we have the quantity. This is numeric, that is whole numbers. Then we have discount. This should be percentage. We can convert this to percentage or let it remain as it is. In this case, let's have it as it is. Then finally, we have the profit, which is also a currency, should be in dollars. That is, we convert that into currency. That's it for the transformation. Then we can close these. Let's apply the changes. It will take a while to load, and then with the data we have imported, that is the orders table, we can do our analysis and visualize this data as per our requirement or our needs. Then that's the first introduction. Note that importation of file is in most cases similar. We can import JSON files, we can import CSV files, we can import text file, Excel files, and even PDF files. Let's go to our data. Our data is well represented, and we have all these rows and columns. That's it. Let's now go back home and get data from another data source. That is, let's try working with a CSV file. In this case, we'll go to files and we'll say we want a text file or CSV file. The importation is very similar. Let's work with the shopping trade dataset in this case. Let's click on that. It should connect us to this file that is a CSV file. Then click on transform and give it a few moments to connect to the Power Query. Under the Power Query, we can make any changes that we want. We have this. We are not interested in this column, the first column, that is the customer ID, and we can remove that. Then we have the age, we have gender, we have item purchased, and purchase amount in dollars. Now this, we should convert this into fixed decimal, that is currency, location. We have the size, we have the color, we have season, we have the review ratings. We also have this other payment method, we have previous purchases, and that's it for this data set. You can see most of the data entries are either numeric or string variables, and most are in categorical variables. That's it. Then let's see if we can import. After making a few changes to these and making sure that the data matches our requirement, we can close this and load the data. We can view the data directly into Power BI. And there we go. We have the orders table, we have the shopping trades. Then we can also source data from other sources, such as, let's see, we have JSON files and XML files. These are similar, and the importation process follows a similar step. We can also import data from PDF files. We can also import data from pack files and SharePoint folder. The importation of data from these files is similar. We use the same strategy. We import the data, then transform the data, and finally load the data into Power BI for analysis and visualization. That's basically it. Then we have the databases. The good thing about data from databases is that this data is real time. That is, the data is updated regularly, in some cases per second or per minute or per hour, depending on the organization. And we have several databases that we can use. We have the SQL Server database. We have the Microsoft Access database. We have SQL Server Analysis Service database, Oracle database, IBM DB2 database, and all these other databases such as Postgres SQL database. We also have cloud-based databases such as Teradata. We also have Amazon Redshift. We have Google BigQuery. We also have Snowflake and all these others. The good thing about Power BI is that we can connect to all these databases easily and directly. However, let's try with this. You'll notice that we need the credentials, that is login information, to access this. And in this case, we'll have to enter our AWS, that is Amazon Web Service server, then the database we are interested in. And in this case, we can specify more information and even query the database to get the specific information we are interested in. Let's look at another database. For example, the Google BigQuery. We can connect to that. And you'll also notice that we'll need credentials, that is the login information. In this case, we'll enter the billing project ID, that is the project ID we want to access data from. We have the storage API. This can be containers, Docker or other storage or any other cloud storage where we can source this data. We can also query the database using SQL statements to get specific information based on that query. We also have other databases we can also access from these, but for now, let's look at other services that can help us access data in Power BI. For example, we have the Microsoft Fabric. This is a Microsoft service. And under this, we can access Power BI datasets. That is datasets stored on Power BI. We also have data flows. We also have data marts. We have data warehouses, lakehouse, and KQL databases. And note that these are services offered by Microsoft Fabric, and they are essential data storage services such as warehouses, lakehouses, and data marts. And to access these, we may need to log in into Azure or other Microsoft services that we can access through Power BI. Then we also have the Power Platform. This is another service by Microsoft where we can access data from Power BI data flows. We also have common data services. We have Dataverse and data flows. All these are Microsoft services, and the good thing is we can access this information directly. Then we have Azure. Azure has a lot of services that we can still access. For example, we have Azure SQL Database, Azure Synapse Analytics. Actually, this is also a BI tool. We have blobs. This is storage. These are storage containers that are where we can store and access our data from. And we have Azure Cosmos, which is an SQL database by Microsoft. We have all these databases and services by Microsoft that we can access from Azure. Now, the disadvantage is that in this case, we must have login information into Azure. And the good news is that most organization has this information, and this information is passed to the BI analysts and BI professionals. In that case, accessing the information from these services is easy when you have the required login information. Then we have other online services such as SharePoint, we have Google Analytics, we have Adobe Analytics, we have Dynamic Navigation, we have Microsoft Exchange Online, we have GitHub, we have Smartsheets, we have Zendesk, we have Asana, we have View. All these services are available, and we can integrate these with Power BI and create reports from the data we get from these sources. And finally, we also have these other services such as Hadoop files. We have R scripts, we have Python scripts, we have web data, we have Microsoft Exchange, we have Amazon open source services, and all these others. Accessing data from these sources is very easy. We just have to follow the instructions provided by the service providers. That is, for example, in this case, in the case of websites and other, we have the specific information of how to use these. Normally, I advise students to follow the documentation. And good thing about IT services or career in IT is that most of the information required to run services, to program, and do other technical stuff that are required is easily accessible from the internet. And we have clear documentation of how to use these. Then let's look at how to access data from our web page, world population 2023, and let's see, this is the world population. We want to access this information from Wikipedia. Let's see if we can connect directly to Wikipedia using using Power BI, we have these tables. These tables are a great source of data, and let's try and see if we can access them directly from Power BI. We click on Get Data, and we want to access this data from our web page, and we can always type web page here, and there we go. We have our web page. Then we will copy the link to the Wikipedia page and paste that link here. The link is about world population, and give it time to load, a few minutes or a few seconds, that is. And there we go. We have several tables from that web page we used, and we can see we have all these tables. Let's start by this. And the good thing is we have a view that is a preview of the data in these tables. We are not interested in that. Let's also work with this world population, and let's work with that. Then let's look at the 10 most densely populated countries. We have these. Then let's also look at table 3 or table 4. Let's see what is inside those. We don't have any significant information in that. And let's look at this. We have countries ranking highly in both total population. Then we can also look at the past population. Let's look at world historical and predicted population. Let's now transform this data. You'll notice that we have selected a few tables. Let's see each of these data tables that we have selected. We have these, and you'll notice that we have the region. We have the regions and the year and the population in that year. We don't have the header. We cannot. We said we can always transform this by using the first row as the header, and we click on that, and there we go. We have the region, we have the population in 1500, population in 1600, and so on and so forth, up to population in 2150. That is the predicted population. And the regions that we have the African continent. We have Africa, we have Asia, we have Europe, we have Latin America, we have North America, and Oceania. These are the population from 1500 to 2150. The past population and the predicted population. That's it for that table. Then we have 10 most densely populated countries. And we have number 1. We can drop these. Let's actually drop this, remove column. We don't need the number. Now we have the country, we have the population, we have area in kilometers squared, and population density in population per kilometer squared. The most highly populated, I think, is Singapore at 8,235 persons per kilometer squared, and number 10 is Netherlands with 419 persons per kilometer squared. Then let's look at this. We have the population, we have year, we have years elapsed, and that's it. We can transpose this. I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand this table. But basically, this is another table about population, and we can make a few transformation by transposing the table. There you go. We have population. Then we can use first row as the header. We have population 1. We have the year. We have the years elapsed, and I think we have an error in the data, but for now we are just interested in data importation, transformation, and loading. Let's assume that everything is fine with the data. We just click on close and apply to transform the data as expected. We'll have 3 additional files, that is table sourced from a Wikipedia page, and that's it for importing data from a web page in Power BI. And the good thing about Power BI, it's easy to import data from web pages, from other sources without complication and without using third-party tools such as web data connectors and APIs. There we go. We have our data sources, and that's it for importation of data from different data sources. In our next lesson, we look at importing data from different data sources using Tableau, which is an important BI tool, as we said earlier.